Hey everybody, welcome to Retire to Rome.
Hey, hope y'all are having a great week this week. Today we're going to be talking about something different. Les said last week we were going to talk about what?
I think it was Social Security.
Yeah, well, we're not doing that.
No,
It's a little too complicated and it's been a busy week this
it
week.
sure has.
So
Yeah.
we decided to tackle that a little later. So what we're going to talk about today is
What retirement looks like. Maybe it looks a little bit different for you. Maybe it looks a little bit different for us, but maybe we can kind of give an insight what we're trying to do as far as planning and what we're doing to save up money, stick money back, and put it towards retirement.
Okay, so as Russell said, what does retirement look like for you? Our retirement actually has changed what we think retirement's going to look like for us. It has probably changed. I was thinking about it today. It's changed in the last year for sure for us. So what your parents have done or did and what your siblings or friends and family are doing in retirement may be different than what you're wanting to do. You know, it used to be what you'd retire at 65 and then
You maybe was fortunate enough some of your grandparents or maybe some of your parents worked for 30 years with the company and had a pension, and then they could, retire on that. They saved and stuck back, and, times were maybe a little bit better and they was able to have a good job with the pension, but the days of the pension are getting fewer and fewer between.
So, like Russell said, he's got a pension. I have an opportunity to get a pension, but we're not sure if I'm going to stay long enough to get that. Still a lot of things in play. But, he and I both know people who have retired and they're miserable. They say they had to go back to work. They were too bored. Some say I'm busier now in retirement than I was before. It just...
We got to find a happy medium between that.
Yeah, and if it's just you yourself, you can do really what you want to do, or decide for your retirement to look how you want it to look. But if it's a couple, you have to take the other person in consideration. Up to a year ago, our plan was we were going to retire. Still, we were planning on retiring fairly early, before 62, and we were going to buy a truck and another fifth wheel.
Camper and travel around the United States.
Yeah, we were going to travel probably 6 months out of the year and keep our home base and come back here 6 months out of the year. Well, that whole plan has totally changed. We're not going into total details yet, but we're not buying a truck. We're not buying a camper. We're not traveling around the United States for 6 months. We don't have the money to do that, and we're not going to have the money to do that because that could be very expensive. When you think about buying a truck and a camper, you're probably $150,000 right there. Then you talk about going around traveling. There's gas,
Cost of fuel, the cost of fuel right now.
Campsites, upkeep on the vehicles. So we're not doing that. We're looking for something that will allow us to retire sooner and a lot less headache. So again, you have to decide what retirement looks like for you, and hopefully you and your spouse can agree on that. If you wanted to...
there's a lot of communication. I mean, I've been back and forth with what I'd like to do, and then I discuss it with her, and then she comes up with ideas what she'd like to do, and you just kind of find that happy medium and what's the most cost effective.
Yeah. So, the next step you need to do is, once you figure out what you want to do or how you want your retirement to look, is you got to figure out how much it's going to cost you.
Yeah, I think the first thing you need to decide is you need to take a good budget. You need to see where you're spending your money. I mean, I'm talking about down to earth, bones to bones, apples to apples, oranges to oranges, where you're spending your money. And it might be the coffee that you're drinking at Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks out to buying a pack of gum. You need to account for everything, and not just for a month, do it for a couple of 3 months, and get a good running total of what you're actually spending, what your monthly expenses are, and for you're doing it right now even while you're working.
Yeah, I mean, I think the budget, or I call it the dreaded B word, is scary for a lot of people because a lot of people are not on a budget. They just say at the end of the month, I don't know where my money went. And they actually do not know where their money went. So I think a budget's a great tool for you while you're working. It helps you determine where your money's going to, and you assign your money to where you want it to go. It just doesn't vanish into thin air. And I know we've been on a budget for several years, and there's so many different types of budgets out there now. You can use a notebook piece of paper. You can use an Excel spreadsheet. There are so many apps now that are available.
Right.
I know Dave Ramsey has the Every Dollar, which is free. You can get the pay version that links to your bank account, but there's lots of apps online that you can use.
Yeah.
So having a budget allows you to look back at where your spending has been from month to month, year to year, if you've done it for several years. You know, if Russell asked me how much our electric bill was last July,
she knows it.
I can
It's
look.
on a spreadsheet.
It's on a spreadsheet. If I need to know how much we're spending each month on eating out, which is probably one of our
yeah, it's costly.
yeah.
I've been trying to cut back on it with this new job. I've been trying to take my lunch as much as I can, and it's considerable the amount we've saved in a month's time.
And us just being empty nesters, you know, we used to think, well, we'll just run out and eat. It'll be just as cheap for us. But it's not that way anymore.
No.
Eating out has gotten outrageous.
Yeah,
Even
costly.
fast food has gotten outrageous. So once you know how much you're spending now, I think that helps you determine, okay, what am I going to need in retirement? Obviously, let's just say you're spending $40,000 a year now. Maybe you're making more than that, but you need to know what you're actually spending. So if you're spending $40,000 a year and you're going to maintain the same lifestyle in retirement, logically, it would tell you that you would need $40,000 a year. Of course, you have to factor in health care and other things if that's going to continue on. But if you're changing the type of living in retirement that you're doing now, then we say you probably need to research what your plan is and what it's going to cost you.
Yeah, there again, like you said, we had planned on, we wanted to do the camper and the truck and travel around. You figure that $40,000, break it down month by month, what you're spending per month, and then you can see where you can save up, cut back, or whatever if you live below your means, basically.
Yeah. I mean, again, our plan was to do the camping, and we were going to keep our home base. Well, when you start looking at, and I'm not saying this is for everybody. Again, we are not experts. We're just telling you what we're doing in our process. We are looking at probably selling our home because it's a lot, even though, thank the Lord, our home is paid for, there's still a lot of expense with owning a home that's even paid for. You have
a lot of upkeep.
You have land taxes. You have homeowners insurance. You have to keep the yard mowed. You have to keep the home beautified, I guess, or upkeep on the home, air conditioning, heating systems, hot water heaters, that kind of thing.
And those are costly expenses when something goes out. It ain't, like 10 years ago. You get an air conditioning unit goes out, that's $10,000 easily.
Yeah.
And and on top of that, then you've got vehicle expenses, and it's just, stuff just piles up and piles up.
Yeah, and so that's our plan right now, and we'll talk more about that in future videos, the specifics of the plan. But if you were to ask us today, that is what our plan is.
Well, and like I said, I'm getting older, and it's just a wear and tear, just trying to keep up with maintaining the home that we have and the property that we have.
So research is what I would advise. And you might ask yourself, well, where do you research it? If you don't have a financial advisor, I would suggest looking at getting one. We have one, and I think we're getting our money's worth. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I'm not sure if he's going to watch this video or not, but you need to be.
Maybe you will.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You need to be comfortable with your advisor and go in your relationship with that person with what you expect from them and what they are expected to give in return.
Ask questions. Interview them. They're there to make money, but there again, you got to ask questions.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things we get from our advisor, or will get from our advisor, will be how to handle the money when we retire as far as taxes and that kind of thing. Another thing, as far as advice on if you're not really sure about retirement and how you want it to look, maybe talk with family and friends.
Yeah. Maybe you have somebody that's already retired and maybe they've learned a lesson, a valuable lesson. They can say, hey, I done it this way. Maybe that's not right for me. It might be right for you, or just whatever. Just ask questions.
Yeah. And if you're seeing somebody in retirement that's living paycheck to paycheck or miserable, maybe don't get advice from them. You have to take unsolicited advice with a grain of salt, is basically what we're trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's, friends or family, listen to what they have to say. But again, it's not cookie cutter.
Don't base your retirement just off that.
Yeah. If you've got an Uncle Fred that's a financial guru, supposedly, maybe don't go with Uncle Fred. Maybe go to someone outside the family and get a second opinion. Because this stuff is serious. You can make a few mistakes on your retirement planning and really hurt yourself in your later years when you get ready to retire, for sure.
Yeah. And on the flip side, when you're reaching out trying to do research, there are experts in the field. I mean, there are financial planners and advisors, and sometimes it comes with a cost, but weigh that cost. Maybe it's worth paying for a consultation fee just to see how comfortable you are with that advisor.
Yeah.
It may be a couple of $100, but it may be a couple of $100 that's well spent.
Right. And I guess one of the last sources, and one that we actually have changed our plans based on, is other people on YouTube.
Yeah.
Just typing in retirement options, typing in maybe the type of retirement you're looking at doing, and getting some information from other people that have done it or are doing it. And, you can tell pretty quickly if it's someone that's being truthful about what's going on.
Yeah.
And most of the time, I would say for the most part, people on the retirement YouTube channels are. You just have to decide, are you going to be able to live on $40,000 a year? Do you need $100,000 a year? Can you live on $25,000 a year? And then you've got to figure out where and how to get that amount of money saved up, or if you've got it in retirement plans, then that gets back to the financial advisor telling you when you can access that money.
Because they'll take a lot of things into consideration. You also have inflation each year to, what a dollar was worth 20 years ago. It takes a whole lot more to get to that amount. So experts like that can figure a lot of that in. There's a lot of a lot of calculators out there to help you kind of pre-plan. But a professional, whether it's on YouTube or somebody you pay or somebody at Edward Jones or whoever you use, they bring a little bit more knowledge than just a guessing game.
Yeah. One thing you brought up were the calculators. That's another thing that's out there online. There are so many calculators. There's retirement calculators. You can put in how much money you have now, how many more years you plan on working, how much money you're adding to it each year, and it will tell you how much money you will have at the end of retirement, or projected amount based on whatever interest rate you put in. And it'll tell you how many years that's going to last you in retirement. So it's not just a total guessing game. Of course, you can say I can live on $40,000 a year, but when you get into retirement, you may realize, hey, I can't live on that, not doing what I wanted to do. And you don't want that to happen to you. You don't want to say I can live on $40,000 and find out you actually need $60,000.
Right.
And you have to either go back to work, which sounds absolutely horrible, or you have to give up your retirement plan and do something else.
It goes back to what the first topic was, or whatever the first bullet point that you had here, and it's figure out what you're spending per month, multiply it by 12, and keep a good record, and come up with that budget. Find those numbers.
Yeah, and the earlier you're disciplined enough on a budget, then I think the easier it will be for you to be on a budget in retirement. I honestly cannot see how any couple survives and doesn't have a budget. I mean, just the thought of me not knowing where our money went every month really gives me anxiety.
Well, also when you're making that budget, you're taking control. You're telling your money what to do instead of it telling you what to do.
Yeah. So. And I guess another area is podcasts. They're free. If you've got a cell phone, You've got access to tons of information, free podcasts that are out there. You can look at, I mentioned Dave Ramsey earlier, the Money Guys out of Franklin, Tennessee. There's a new guy that we're listening to. It's early retirement. He's out of California. He's got some really sound advice. But you get on there and you look, type in a topic. It might be budgeting, it might be retirement, it might be early retirement, it could be FIRE, which we said in our first video is what we're planning on doing, which is financial independence, retire early. There's tons of podcasts about that. Now, we're in our 50s, so the podcasts that are out there for the 20-year-olds that are retiring is probably not our game. That's not where we're at. We wish we had been that smart in our 20s, but we weren't. So, yeah, that's another option for you to get information. So tons of information on the internet. Yeah. So I guess in conclusion, anything else you want to add?
No, just like I said, just work on that budget. Find out what those numbers are, and that's going to be the big telltale sign of where you're at and what you're spending.
Yeah.
Figure out what you're spending, that's what you can do to work on cutting back and saving.
Yeah, and getting discipline to cut back now will help you, because the more money you can save now, maybe the earlier you can enter into retirement, and the more money you'll have saved up for those latter years of your life. So, I guess just recapping, you mentioned bullet points. The first one is just to remember that your retirement does not have to look like your neighbor's retirement or your sibling's retirement.
Right.
Everybody's retirement does not have to look the same. It's not the 1960s anymore. You can do things differently. Some of the things that we're planning on doing, we've already had people tell us we're nuts. So that's okay, because we have faith in each other, and we feel like that's what's going to make us happy, and that's what we want to do. So, again, not everyone's going to have the same retirement plan you do. The second thing is, what's it going to cost you to make that plan happen? So set a goal, set a plan, make it clear to each other, be on the same page about what the plan is, and then figure out what it's going to cost you.
Right.
And if you don't have a clue what it's going to cost you, then do the research. And that's where we mentioned all the opportunities that are out there on the internet, and financial advisors, etc. So hopefully that's some tips that helped you a little bit. And maybe next week we'll do Social Security, but I'm not going to promise that. So is that it?
I guess that's it.
Okay. All right, I feel like I talked too much today.
You're
I always
doing
talk
great.
too much.
She's doing great. She's the brains of the outfit.
Oh, yeah, sure. All right. Thank you, everybody. And if you would, make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button and that little bell. That will let you know the next time we load a video. We would really appreciate it. This is our third video, and we're hoping to do a lot more.
Hopefully.
Yeah, we've got a few subscribers already. So share our YouTube channel with your friends and family, anyone that's maybe looking at retirement or getting ready to start planning their retirement. I will say, I don't think it's ever too early to start planning retirement. Even in your 30s, I think you should start looking at what are your goals, and not to say it's not going to change, because
earlier
again,
the better.
Yeah, because ours has changed. So anyways, thank you all and have a blessed day.